VOIDTRAIN is releasing in just 1 day's time, and we've seen a roadmap. This roadmap looks absolutely awesome. It was released a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, I missed it, but I've just seen it, and there is loads of awesome stuff on there. We're going to get so much at launch, and there is so much to come afterwards. So if you like the look of VOIDTRAIN and are excited, make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel and stick around for much more. We'll be streaming it on launch day tomorrow. We'll start streaming at between 8:30 and 9 PM BST, and we're going to play through for an hour or so, maybe even a little bit longer, see how it goes, and then we're going to have tips, tricks, and all of that good stuff continually releasing throughout the week, so stick around for all of that. Now, let's have a little bit of a look at this roadmap and see what the dev team have to say. Well, before we do that, we finally found out the actual price tag of the game, which is brilliant. It is $24.99 GBP. In USD, it is $29.99, and in euros, it is $29.99. Those are the main ones. There is a link to the Steam page in the description down below, and all the prices are listed on there if you do want to go check that out for the rest of them. And here we have our roadmap. So this roadmap is a revised roadmap. They did release one previously, but this one has been changed quite a bit. Now, at launch, we're going to get some pretty cool stuff. And we've already seen some nice things in the trailers themselves. But here, we can see that we're going to have the prologue and the story, only chapter 1. Train upgrades up to diesel era. And then modular weapons, along with taming Rufflemo pets, which are the really cute little, like, squirmy things. I don't even know what they're called. What they're... I don't know what they would be, really. It's quite cool, but they look really awesome. Then also, alongside that, we've got enemy trains and outposts, along with puzzle and arena islands. Then prophecies, which are path modifiers, plus 10 creatures and enemies. So there's more than 10 creatures and enemies. We've only seen a couple so far, such as the sharks. We've seen a couple of sort of like bandits. Whether they only count as one enemy, I'm not 100% sure, because we've seen the standard ones, then we've seen some big armoured ones. Not 100% sure how that's going to go yet, but we shall see. So the enemies really look cool anyway, along with the puzzle and arena islands. Now, I haven't seen much on these, but they sound really interesting. We've seen some of the arena sort of combat styles where we're heading over to a bigger island, we're having to fight loads and loads of different enemies. And then the puzzle ones, I don't know what they're going to be. They could possibly be loads of random bits put together to get through a door or just to get an extra loot box, something along those lines. Now, enemy trains and outposts look brilliant. We've seen those before and they were in the demo also. Now, we can actually upgrade the trains as well, which is very good. I'm happy that we can upgrade them to the diesel era. There is potentially going to be a bit more coming to that. We're going to be able to upgrade them a little bit further in the future. But that is not actually on the roadmap. It would be cool to see them go a little bit further into like the electric era and then possibly, can you imagine a nuclear train? That would be insane. Now, modular weapons. Weapons look brilliant already. We haven't seen too much on them. If you've played the demo, then you would have got a feel for some of the weapons. But from the weapons that we've seen, they look fun, they look easy to use, and they look like they pack a bit of a punch as well. Even the little revolver that we've seen so far, which is good. I'm excited to test the weapons. And the Rufflemo pets as well. Now, they just look cute. They're going to be able to do all sorts of stuff for us, but we have to tame them. So whether that's going to be a difficult thing to do, or whether you're just going to have a few of them follow you around, sort of like dodos in Ark, that are relatively easy to sort out. Not 100% sure yet. I would love to know a little bit more about the taming. But with only a day or so left until launch, we haven't got long to wait. Now, coming up, we have improved character faces. We have mini-games, new void creatures, combat and AI improvements, interactive music instruments, new train upgrades, and the story chapter 2. So the story is being released in 3 sections, chapter 1, 2, and 3, which is the ending. Now, I like that idea. I think that's quite cool. A part of me likes it. Another part of me would like to be able to get through the story themselves and get all the way to the end so I know what's going on. I can figure out, you know, who's good, who's bad, and just understand everything that's going on rather than some other things that we're getting to see. I think the storyline should be a really cool aspect to the game, and it'd be nice to have that going all the way through. Whether the storyline translates into the numbered gates, whether that's it, or whether that's just some sort of combat or slash arena session, I'm not 100% sure how that works yet. But mini-games. They've spoke about mini-games before, and you'll currently be able to get upgrades for your train, so game benches and game tables, but it doesn't look like we'll actually be able to put the games on those as of yet. Whether the tables will be coming at a later date, I'm not 100% sure. I know from the last thing that I read, it does seem like they're going to be coming with the actual play now on the 9th of May. Could be completely wrong on that one though. But new train upgrades, combat and AI improvements, and new void creatures, all absolutely brilliant. I think the music instruments could be quite cool. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I mean, for some people will absolutely love that. So, fair enough. And then finally, we have the coming later, which is new side quests, Roflimo social interactions, more creatures and enemies, and then finally, story chapter 3, which is the ending of the actual main storyline. So with 10 plus creatures and enemies in launch, plus a load of void creatures being added later in the game, and then more coming later on, I think that's going to be a hell of a lot of enemies, a nice variety. I mean, it will get rather boring if you're just going through taking on the same sort of 10 enemies over and over again. So adding new enemies, I think, is definitely going to be something to enhance that replayability, especially if they're adding much harder enemies, ones that have a little bit of a difficult way to get down. So that way people are going to be trying to figure out and playing as teams to get these sort of boss enemies. Whether we're going to see something like that is yet to be seen, but it would be very cool if we did. Alongside that, the Roflimo social interaction. I don't know whether that's going to be something along the sides of multiplayer. Not 100% sure yet. But either way, more Roflimo interactions and just more towards these guys is going to be cool. It does look like they can do quite a bit already. Obviously, you've seen some bits where they're helping build weapons, and then other bits where they're out gathering resources. So I think these guys, especially if you're playing solo, are going to be a very valuable asset. And the roadmap was also released with a little bit of a development blog. Now, with the development blog, they did announce that obviously there's been a lot of changes since the demo. So in the main game, the current features are quite different to what they were back in February when the demo was finally out and then come to an end towards the end of February. But now we'll be able to actually have a lot more character movement in the void. So now we'll be able to tether ourselves to the actual train and then jump off the train or trolley and then let the void take you away so you can gather resources. As long as you're attached with that rope, you'll be able to pull yourself back to the train, but could get a little bit dicey if you're not attached to a rope, so make sure you're careful with that one. And then we've got resource gathering. So at the start of the game, gathering resources manually, which pretty much standard for most survival games. You're going out there, you're gathering all your resources. It's taking a little bit of time, but that is the beauty of the survival aspects. You've got to actually grind to get a little bit built at least. But as you advance, you can unlock a grappling hook, which then will shoot out and grab whatever you need it to grab. Similar to something like Raft, where you can just grappling hook it out and bring stuff back. But then as you get further into the game, you can actually get a sizable train module, which allows your pets to automatically collect resources whilst your train is in motion. And then there's technology and development. We'll be able to use research tables to get new structures, technologies, upgrades, and crafting recipes for your character and the train. Small objects and interior items can be built using a crafting book, but large ones require the depot. You can develop up to the diesel era with mechanical, steam, and diesel engines available. You'll be able to unlock decorative items for your train and walls, feed your pets, and special mushrooms to give the Roflimo, which is pretty damn cool. The Roflimo will share one or several recipes with you, which will appear in your crafting book. And then we have enemy trains and outposts, which is going to be very cool. We're going to see trains actually chasing us, trying to take us on and interfere with whatever we've got going on. So we're going to have to get rid of all of these trains, get rid of these enemies by boarding the enemy train and attacking the actual enemies on there. But it won't be as simple as that, because the trains can actually attack your train and cause a hell of a lot of damage to it as well. So you do have to protect your train whilst destroying the enemy trains. But there are also outposts. They're obstacles that block your path and are guarded by soldiers. Initially, you've got to defeat enemies to disable the barriers, and then later on, you may need to build rams to destroy outposts very quickly. But the durability of rams are a thing, so you won't just be able to ram through anything and everything, which is quite cool. And then finally, you have the depot, which is your main hub for building your train, collecting loot and opening chests. However, it is also a very large battlefield where you can encounter enemy soldiers. And then we have Witch Islands, which are basically the puzzle islands. They're puzzle-filled hubs located deep in the void, marked by swarms of fireflies. Each hub will offer 3 types of puzzles, which can earn you valuable loot and mushrooms for the Roflimo. However, there are dangerous void and fauna present in the peaceful locations. So you may not have enemies there, but everything else might want to kill you. So you do have to be careful when going into these areas. And then we have the Arena Islands. Now, the Arena Islands are infested with swarms of insects and overseen by the mysterious Arena Keeper, who assigns you trials to complete, and there are 5 waves in total. With more valuable rewards for you progressing further, you can choose to stop and claim a minimal reward for the waves once you've completed them, or you can risk continuing for greater rewards. But if you do fail, you will only receive a small consolation prize in the form of a small amount of basic resources, which is very cool. I do like that aspect. I think that's going to be really, really fun. The arena and the puzzle side, very cool. But then there's other POIs and interests and danger out there, such as mines on the tracks, things like that are going to get you. There's abandoned trains dotted around, and there's also loads of stuff out on the horizon, which you could just bop out and have a little bit of a look at, which is very cool. Something to actually see, enjoy. And I like that idea, having something fun just to play around with. And then obviously, one of the best things, the Roflimo pets. Oh yeah, they're not just companions, they've got unique skills and specializations. So you make sure you study them carefully and assign them to work based on their abilities to gain the maximum benefit from them. Which is a really cool feature. They're not just random little pets that are wandering around. You actually need to use them to your advantage. Then we've got the modular weapon systems. At the start, you're equipped with just your revolver as a basic weapon, but as the enemies become stronger and you develop your character, you'll be able to unlock more powerful weapons as you progress through the game. And weapons are modular, so you can insert various modules found in the world of the Void and put them onto a workbench, and then you optimize your performance for each weapon. Additionally, you can find frames with slots for cores that are unique firing modes for weapons, and there are 3 types of cores available. So you've got an Ice Storm, a Flamethrower, and an Annihilator, which I like that idea. I really do. I think that's going to be cool. Whether there's going to be certain enemies that react differently to those damage types is yet to be seen, but I assume there will be something along those lines. I want to know what the Annihilator is, though. Could be explosive. And then we've got Prophecies, which is a game mechanic that will allow you to modify your path by weighing up the pros and cons. So you can increase the amount of iron in the void, but in exchange you may face more leeches or encounter 2 sharks instead of 1. Well, I like the idea of the Prophecies because that just enhances the replayability of the game and makes things a little bit more difficult, especially when it comes to looting and grabbing yourself all these resources. Then finally we have the Creatures of the Void. There are many, many creatures, such as sharks, leeches, voidfish, pufferfish, void whales, creatures of darkness, which is a classified creature and we don't actually know anything about it. Then we've got the new soldiers, officers, and commanders. Now the commanders are the huge armoured enemies with powerful weaponry, and then the officers are just normal soldiers with a little bit of armour on them, with some average weapons that are early stage game. And then finally just the normal soldiers, which have revolvers, and don't have any armour. Now there's loads of swarms and insects, which we'll be able to find all over the actual void, such as soldier beetles, spitting beetles, bombardier beetles, and tank beetles. Now these things get much harder, but we will find the majority of these swarm insects in the actual arena. So very excited for this. It's going to be brilliant. Now, once again, we'll be playing the game through on a live stream on Tuesday, the 9th of May. I'm absolutely buzzing for this. We'll continue to upload content throughout the week as well. I think this could be one of my favourite games at the moment. I absolutely love Dead Island, and I've been waiting for my next fix and since that. And I have a feeling this is going to be it. I did avoid it when the demo was out because I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't 100% sure, but their latest trailers have really hooked me, and hopefully I enjoy it just as much as it just looks brilliant, so I can't wait to get stuck in. Really excited for this one. Make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you do like the idea and the look of Void Train. Do all those good things, fondle those buttons, and stick around for tomorrow where we'll be live streaming the game when it releases. For now though, I've been Wired, you guys have been awesome, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.